Well, what was the biggest surprise? Sergio Perez out-qualifying his teammate Max Verstappen to take pole for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, or Lewis Hamilton not making it out of Q1 for Mercedes? I think it was the latter. We'll get onto that in a minute. Congratulations to Sergio Perez. He's been unbelievably quick, particularly in a straight line over the last 2 days. You saw the thumbnail of the video yesterday, 333 kilometers an hour. Eye-wateringly quick around Saudi Arabia, and 335 today, turning up the wick a little bit. The rear wing that he was using was adopted by Max Verstappen, unsurprisingly today, the smaller rear wing. But Max didn't seem quite as good around the lap at any stage, either this afternoon or this evening in Saudi Arabia, as Sergio. And Sergio timed his qualifying perfectly as well, right under the pressure pump in Q3. Went out a little bit later just to be sure that he got his free lap. And I think all that comes under the heading of, for the risk of repeating it, what I said yesterday, that this sort of circuit is not a track where a Max Verstappen or necessarily a Charles Leclerc, and particularly a Lewis Hamilton, are going to say, yeah, this is the corner where I know I can always do something a bit special. There isn't that corner. So what is a Max going to do around Saudi Arabia to beat a Sergio Perez, who's right on it, feeling really good with the car and very, very quick in a straight line? Not much, really. Just try to get the car right. And throughout both sessions, it seemed as if Sergio just had more grip everywhere than Max. It's probably a question of how you're bringing the tyres in, and whether it's a used set, whether it's a new set. But nonetheless, full marks to Sergio Perez. Not an easy track, Saudi Arabia, in some ways, because it is incredibly dangerous. There's lots of things to hit if you make a mistake. It is all about just these blind S-bends, very high speed. There's only one really slow corner. Well, there's two in the sector one, and then the last corner, third gear corners. But the bottom line is that it's one of these, I would call it a computer game circuit, really, because it is all about strategy. It's all about getting the lap right, tire temperatures, etc., etc. And whenever you're on board following anybody quick around that circuit, you're thinking, you know, I just hope there's nobody stopped in the middle of the road. I know they've got all the messaging going on, but you always think, yeah, isn't it? You know, I don't see the point of it, really. I just think it'd be so nice in that space if they built a few decent corners in there, rather than just these endless high-speed S's, which, yeah, you know, they require some judgment and some finesse, but they're not real corners, as I said yesterday. Anyway, getting away from that, we did actually see a very bad shunt today. Mick Schumacher, thankfully, he's okay, but it was in the middle of one of these high-speed S's, and it wasn't a normal racing accident in the sense that he went in too quickly or he ran a bit wide coming out. He basically just used too much curb at high speed. The car bottomed out and did one of these into the wall that side and then back this side. You know, an inelegant looking shunt. Esteban Ocon almost did the same thing, but held the tank slapper right at the end of Q3. Not an easy thing. As I say, not an elegant look at all. Anyway, that was Sergio Perez, and I think given the top speed of that car, it was no surprise, in a way, that he got the pole. Charles Leclerc afterwards looked slightly bemused because he did a really good job, because, again, Carlos Sainz had been incredibly quick in Q2. Well, incredibly quick. He'd matched Charles in Q2. He was right up to speed, used set of soft tyres, always mega quick in Sector 1, really good grip in Sector 1. That's where he always had it over Charles. And then they put on the soft tyres, the new tyres for the last run in Q3. And at that point, Charles found a bit more, and Carlos lost a little bit of grip in terms of his tempo of how to warm up the tyres and get the grip into Sector 1. So having not got the grip in Sector 1, it kind of threw him for Sectors 2 and 3. But anyway, getting back to the point, Charles put in, I would say, the lap for Ferrari, in the sense that I don't think he could have gone any quicker. I don't think anybody could have gone quicker in that car. It was just knife edgy to watch, but beautiful to watch because of his precision. But it all, you know, it didn't mean anything, because on Sector 2, where there's a lot of full throttle motoring, he was doing, let's have a look at the top speeds. His top speed was 325, which you'd think, yeah, pretty good. Sergio Perez, 335, 10 kilometers quicker than the Ferrari there, and that's where that's come from. Incredible pace from both Red Bulls in a straight line. Max Verstappen 334, as I say, with that smaller rear wing, and Sergio Perez 335. An interesting point here: Sergio did a 28.1 in 2021, not so long ago on this circuit, and got the pole at a 28.2 today. Charles Leclerc, a 28.0 last year, did a 28.2 today. So you could say there or thereabouts, not a lot of difference between them. Now, let's move on to Lewis Hamilton and the progress that was made or not. I mean, it seems incredible now. I suppose a lot of the stuff we've been saying over the winter comes into focus, sort of, because, you know, how do you retain your motivation to that level when the car is that difficult? It's a, you know, P6, P7 car. There's a lot going on around the whole event anyway, which we know from, you know, the terrible things that happened near the track yesterday, the missile attack. And of course, Lewis will have been affected by that. Of course, if you say to Lewis Hamilton, have the events of this weekend in any way affected your ability to get in and do the job, what's Lewis going to say? Of course, he's going to say, no, they haven't. Because, you know, what's the opposite response? Oh, yeah, I've been really worried and thinking about it and I'm not driving very well. I mean, as if he's going to say that. And he is driving well. I mean, let's have a look at the sector times between George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, which is the obvious comparison, because he did a very good job on a very limited set numbers of soft tyres, really having to ration the laps he was doing in order just to get through to Q3. He did a brilliant job. Mind you, he's used to doing that sort of thing from the Williams days, isn't he? But look at this, sector 1, George 32.6, Lewis Hamilton 33.0. That's 0.4 of a second in sector 1. 28.7 and 28.2, sectors 2 and 3. I mean, Lewis almost there, sectors 2 and 3. So on that basis, you would think, yeah, he'd make it through to Q2 easily, maybe even Q3. But it was that sector 1 that did it. And if you, you know, what can you say about sector 1? It is all about the tyres feeling right, getting up to temperatures, that one slow corner there, third gear corner. And if Lewis hadn't got the tyre heating system right, that's where it would have shown up. So almost certainly I would say it was that. Quite why he was in that position, because he did a lot of laps. He was usually first out or amongst the first out of the pits at the beginning of all the sessions we've had, the 3 sessions we've had so far. He put in a lot of miles, a lot of work, but he didn't get, it looks like, I'm, you know, maybe putting 2 and 2 together going 5, but it looks like he didn't get the tyre warming procedure correct. Now, he said afterwards, well, it's all to do with setup of the car, and it may well have been. It may well have been with the setup that he was running, whether it be to do with cambers, whether it to do something else, that they said this is the pace at which you need to be going through sector 1. And so, yeah, I mean, the other point is, as a general note, the Mercedes still very, very difficult to drive and not particularly quick, as we can see. Very good job, though, from George Russell. No surprise there. I mean, as I was saying yesterday, and as I said once already in this video, you know, this is a race where the other drivers alongside the stars are always going to do well, because it's a circuit which rewards commitment, precision, and just getting on with the job, whereas the finesse drivers are thinking, yeah, you know, where am I going to find the time around here? So George, very good job. But it's interesting to note from a Scarb's tweet that went out yesterday that he thinks, looking at the Mercedes now, it's actually got a relatively high center of gravity as well, due to the layout. You can see that on his Twitter feed. And if that's the case, you know, that's another reason, that's another problem Mercedes now face. So a pretty, you know, innocuous place really to be losing time around a circuit like this, which is nothing but unbelievably high speed. But there you go, you know, it was a very annoying practice session. I'm just thinking Lewis, I'm imagining now, but I imagine Lewis very pleased to get away from the track tonight and get into the hotel and get this race done and dusted. I mean, it's a long time since well, it's not a long time actually. It's Brazil last year, isn't it, that he started from near the back and had to go through the field. He's pretty good at that. And it'll be interesting to see tomorrow how it goes. But bear in mind, the Mercedes top speed is not great at all. Sergio Perez, brilliant. Again, 337. I mean, it's just incredible the top speed he's getting out of that car. Max, actually never quicker than Sergio Perez through the speed trap. That's interesting, isn't it, with the smaller rear wing. So there's something about Max's setup that would suggest that he's, I don't know, in better shape for the race. I'm not quite sure what that would be, but, you know, it's kind of strange to be 2-3 kilometers an hour slower than Perez all the time. Bearing in mind he is Max Verstappen anyway. Maybe it's the engines. Maybe Perez just got a really, really good engine. Then you got the other 2 Honda engines as well, Tsunoda and Gasly, 331. Guanyu Zhou, who did a good job with the Ferrari engine, 330. And then Kevin Magnussen, who's also, of course, got Ferrari engine, 330. And then you got Valtteri Bottas, 329. Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, 328. Fernando Alonso, 325 in the other Alpine. And then finally, George Russell and and Lewis Hamilton 3.22, 3.23, the same times as McLaren. But you'd say, oh, well, you know, they're down with McLaren 3.22, and look at Perez 3.37. I mean, that is a massive difference. That's a much bigger difference than we've been seeing for a long time. So that was, you know, and it carried through into qualifying, of course. Esteban Ocon, very good job. As I say, massive save. A sort of Mick hit the wall, Esteban didn't, but a massive job from Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso, who were right up there, both of them in the Alpine. George, sterling work. Yeoman's work, 29-1 in the Mercedes. And Valtteri Bottas, again, really good in the Alfa Romeo. Just looks organised, professional, smooth, cool, doing everything right, and he'll be enjoying this immensely. I wonder what he's thinking. You know, Lewis doesn't get out of Q1, and there's Valtteri Q3 in the Alfa. Pierre Gasly, yeah, had a bit of a messy final qualifying, right on the edge. And Kevin Magnussen, very good job, 29.5, particularly after not doing much running yesterday, and particularly after the Mick shunt as well, when he kind of put the team on his shoulders and said, right, we'll get a result here nonetheless, let's get on with it. Oh, and I should mention that Ferrari did actually do some fuel runs this morning, amazingly enough, having done nothing yesterday. You can see them here now. Charles Leclerc, they did them on the soft tyre, and I've got Max's run from yesterday when he was on the medium there just as a comparison. And you can see generally, obviously, the two Ferraris were quicker than Max's run yesterday, but the track is now quicker and they were on the soft tyre. But there was no real sign of degradation on the soft tyre. And I get the feeling Ferrari just think, we've got a great race car here, great balance, great grip level. We can just put the soft tyre on, put the fuel in, and we'll go racing. And I think in that sense, that the soft is such a raceable tyre is a good thing for Ferrari, because they haven't had to spend too much time getting the car to work with a fuel load. They know it's just a soft tyre, let's go out and do it. And there you can see Charles Leclerc 34.4, 34.2, 34.3, 34.6, you know, pretty good. And Carlos Sainz likewise 34.2, 35, 35.3. Not quite as consistent and not quite as long a run either, but both of them looking pretty good on the fuel run. So they have done those runs. It's going to be a close race for sure. And probably we're going to see the safety car coming out again. I just hope that we can get away from this weekend with nobody getting hurt, because it's got that sort of funny feeling about it, this whole race at the moment, particularly after what happened yesterday. So congrats to everybody in Formula One who was out there doing it today and putting it on the line to get that lap time. It was really impressive to watch. See you tomorrow.